Well, greetings. Zeitgeist is an interesting word as it is a term that defines a spirit or mood of a particular period of time. And it's not always an easy thing to do since experts may disagree amongst themselves on this definition. I don't know what the time frame would be for our current zeitgeist, and I've heard that some experts are chiming in on COVID-19, remote work, online learning, the use of social media, environmental issues, and climate change, and all of the effects. If I had to define it, it would be the period circa 2000 to now in which all of the above classifications are certainly accurate, and possibly drop COVID-19 since I think that it's not as significant enough to be included now. And I'll attempt to make this short and relatively painless as another word that fits into the current zeitgeist is loneliness. And this is a direct result of our chosen factors. I don't define a specific age range for this dilemma, but the overall use of social media, or as I label it, anti-social media, and not forgetting the use of remote work and a lack of face-to-face interactions as an inherent component in our ailment. In short, people need people, and it's nice chatting on the phone and texting each other and exchanging emails. And certainly, we can't always be face-to-face and see the people we know and love that live beyond our reach. A lack of variety in our lives can create a feeling of abandonment, isolation, and paranoia. Put your phone or laptop down for a certain period of time, go outside, meet people, stay in touch with friends and family, look into someone's eyes, hug someone, laugh, smile, tell a joke, and share your concerns and beliefs. Don't run and hide, unless, of course, you absolutely have to, which I certainly understand under certain circumstances, since I have to do this with my family every now and then. Maybe we can turn this current zeitgeist around and possibly see things in a more positive light. All the best, and remember, reach out and stay in touch with friends and family, especially face to face if you can. And now more quotes. As I enjoy pertinent quotes that shed light on our existence. All right, compared with mankind, we have to admit that the insect does not display what we can describe as intelligence. But don't feel too proud about that because where there is no intelligence, there's no stupidity. They've been around a lot longer than we have and will be around after we're gone. And that's from Nils Hellstrom. And anyone who thinks that women aren't strong, competitive, and tough don't understand modern women. So my advice to anyone in power today, be it men or women, be careful and don't underestimate the forcefulness and power of women. Women are very shrewd, cunning, and downright gritty when they have to be. An outlaw greets Clint Eastwood by saying, "I never got your name." And he replies, "Yeah, I never gave it to you." And this quote is from Jazz Palminteri in the movie Bronx Tale. Nobody cares, just two words. And sadly, that can be true in life. I love speeding in a torrential downpour, so the police have to pull you over and get soaked while they walk to your car. And they always ask, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" And I reply by saying, "Do you know why I was speeding?" That's from Drew Carey. If women ruled the world, we wouldn't have wars, just intense negotiations every 28 days. And that's from the late and great Robin Williams. And boy, do I miss him. And once again, I have a brief story on two guys that I worked with on my Amtrak days. Frank was the foreman and Charlie was one of the machinists. And both of these guys are real street guys. So Frank is lacing into Charlie. It's something that he did. And Frank is really pissed at him. And they know each other very well. So Charlie is taking a pounding and he slowly smiles and interrupts Frank by telling him, "You know, Frank, you're really kind of sexy and attractive when you're really pissed off." And Frank just falls apart and he walks away. Yeah, frickin' Charlie. The guys within earshot cracked up, and I always found street people to be interesting. They're usually very bright, have an interesting sense of humor, since that is a necessity in life, especially on the streets. And they can be very forthright and to the point, and they have a wide berth about them also. I've always took an interest in them, and I consider myself to have a touch of street, and I think I've said this before, but in me, as I've always seemed to relate with them, and they with me. But I'm not a genuine street guy. I'm a bit too much of a softie to be a street. And here's a definition of litigation. A machine which you go into as a pig and come out as a sausage, and that's from Ambrose Bierce. I'm losing my voice here. Have you ever noticed that most of the women who are against abortion, you wouldn't want to get nasty with them anyway? That's from George Carlin. And once again, Bobby Gaudioso, one of my favorite coworkers from years ago, comes into the picture with a comment to a woman in a bar, and he replies, "My name is Bobby Gaudioso, and all of your prayers have just been answered." He had a line for every circumstance, and I was standing right next to him when he made that comment. What's another word for thesaurus? That's from Stephen Wright. For a small town, this one sure has a lot of assholes. I read that on a bumper sticker in Cape Cod years ago. They say that driving is more dangerous than flying, but I don't know. I've never seen two airline pilots exchange insurance cards, and that's from Dennis Miller, and I don't know what happened to him. A Jewish boy comes home from school and tells his mother that he has a part in the play. "What part is it?" asks the mother. He replies, "I play the part of a Jewish husband." The mother says, "Go back and tell the teacher you want a speaking part." A college graduate asked, "Do you have advice for someone entering the real world?" And W.C. Fields replies, "Yeah, but don't take anyone's advice." I always have to imitate him. And democracy is supposed to give you the feeling of choice, like painkiller X and painkiller Y. But they're both just aspirin to do the same thing, and that's from Gore Vidal. "I am" is reportedly the shortest sentence in the English language. Could it be that "I do" is the longest sentence? And that's from George Carlin. "Giving up smoking is the easiest thing in the world. I know because I've done it 1,000 times." And that's from Mark Twain. It's not what happens that matters most. It's what was supposed to happen. I really like this quote if you give it some thought. To me, it's very relatable. It's from Truman Capote. In times of rapid change, experience could be your worst enemy. That's from John Paul Getty. The reason they call it the American dream is because you have to be asleep to believe in it. And that's from George Carlin. One time, a cop pulled me over for running a stop sign. He said, "Didn't you see the stop sign?" And I said, "Yeah, but I don't believe everything I read." That's from Stephen Wright. And lastly, the best argument against democracy is a 5-minute conversation with the average voter. And that's from Winston Churchill. And I am out.